All right, looks like we have a lot to get through today. I've got 2 trailers from Total War Troy to talk about, and then 2 more posts to talk about to discuss the release information for Total War Troy. It's going to be a lot different than what we're used to with any Total War. So let's see what the ramifications of this are going to be and my overall opinions. But let's go and dive into some of these trailers first. This one is on Achilles.
Who has not heard of swift-footed Achilles, son of Thetis, the mightiest warrior ever to take the field, but one who is governed by his heart?
I mean, already we see him just doing some great Brad Pitt jump attacks. Straight out of Mr. Pitt's book.
Fire in his breast grows. Have vengeance.
The crest looking a little less red than it was in the original CG trailer, and I think this is supposed to kind of exemplify the N engine, so that we can actually see how this the game kind of plays itself out, right? We can see like, oh, this is how the game's engine itself will work, because this next trailer is not in engine. This is definitely the CG trailer. This is the official trailer for Troy. Now, we've already kind of seen this opening, but this kind of tells the story here of Helen of Troy. The kind of the initial impetus behind the conflict itself, wherein Paris, the Prince of Troy, steals Helen from Agamemnon right there, as you can see. And let's just get this out of the way now. Wait for it a little bit further. Agamemnon, as you guys see right there, with a great beard. I'm sorry, not Agamemnon. That is Agamemnon. That was, what's his name? The King of Sparta. The King of Sparta. I forgot about that. So consoles him, and this is really like an excuse for the most part for Agamemnon to invade Troy. This is what he wanted. But this, correct me if I'm wrong here, but when you see this person, who does this look like to you? Because if you're thinking that it looks like, Orlando Bloom, then I would totally agree with you. In fact, the voice actor for Hector, let me increase this volume, sounds like Eric Bana.
Must go back to her home.
I mean, not exactly,
You will condemn me to my
but
death.
closer to than basically Hector doesn't look like Eric Bana, and Paris looks like Orlando Bloom. So it's interesting that they've taken this kind of artistic direction here. But I am kind of excited to see some of the heroes that we'll be able to play. I'm curious to see if Odysseus looks like Sean Bean, or some of the other characters in the repertoire, right? Like, will we be able to play Patroclus before he's killed by Hector? And how available is Ajax going to be throughout the campaign? And I assume that if you choose them, you're pretty much saying, okay, I'm going to create that alternate timeline. But we get a little teaser here of some of the mythological creatures right there. So this is the Cyclops, right? They've said that they're taking a historical, or I guess truth behind the myth, historical representation of these mythological creatures. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like that. I've never really liked that. They did that in the movie Hercules with The Rock, and I think The Rock can do no wrong. But I personally just think that, okay, if you're going to do something like this, go the full Monty, give us what we want, go Troy, and give us the Cyclops and Minotaurs and Centaurs if you're going to go that route. I think the truth behind the myth thing is kind of a little too played out right now, and as a result, you kind of get like, it just kind of flounders, right? You get people that are really excited about the fact that you hear Minotaurs, Centaurs, and Cyclops, and then you get in there and it's a guy on stilts with a beast skull, and it kind of just, or at least the luster of it wears off quickly for me. And this is a personal opinion here. I just really wish I'd see a towering Cyclops, especially because I know that this is using the Total War Warhammer 2 engine. So again, we have Agamemnon, and looks like so ooh, if I jump back just a little bit right here, we definitely see a cast of characters I'm not sure who is who. This is probably Odysseus, if anything. This is probably Menelaus, and that's who I was talking about earlier. It was the king of Sparta was Menelaus, who was married to Troy. Completely butchered that. I'm not. This looks to be like obviously Achilles again, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like Patroclus as well to kind of show off him. But that's definitely probably just normal old Achilles. And as we take a look at the Apollonian Gate, we see Hector putting on his helmet. The lovely horsehair helmet of the Apollonians. Whoa! That is a terrifying image right there. So, it should be exciting to see what we get with Troy from the cast of characters and how those characters are going to play themselves at. What I look at Troy as is this kind of synthesis between a lot of the mechanics we got from Three Kingdoms, with these very heavy, fantastical approaches to characters that have both a fantasy basing in the records of the Three Kingdoms and then a historical basing in the history of the Three Kingdoms era. So I think they're trying to take that same approach here with Troy, a Total War Saga. Let's try and do the history behind the Iliad. Now, there's also another big announcement with this. And at first, I was kind of a little, I don't know, put off. Total War Saga Troy is going to be on Epic Store exclusively for a year. Now we do get a full release date too, which is great. It's going to be coming out August 13th, and it's going to be available on Epic Store for free. So that is a nice set of caveats to this statement. We will be receiving Troy August 13th for free on Epic Store, and only Epic Store for 12 months. You can't even pre-order it or anything like that on Steam for another X amount of I don't even know when you'll be able to pre-order it, I guess, but we can't even get it on Steam in any way, shape, or form. Now, reading through this, I can put a link to both of these in the description for you guys. This is the blog post as well as the FAQ right after it. It shows us pretty much what their mentality behind this was. Like, hey, you know, the Troy or the Total War sagas are always these experiments, and we figured, hey, you know, since it's an experiment, let's experiment with a new platform. Let's try to increase our outreach and expose ourselves to more gamers. I completely understand that approach, and I think it's a really good one. I mean, from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to want to be able to expand your platforms and your reach. It's like business 101. But what I don't necessarily understand is expanding to the Epic Game Store when you're already on the father of gaming platforms, Steam, right? Everyone has Steam. Steam is like the daddy. That's where you go. Everyone has Steam, and then maybe Epic, and then maybe Origin and stuff like that. The big cumbersome thing here is maybe people have zero interest in Epic Games, and now they're going to have to download the Epic Game Store, which I will admit, for a store platform, it's actually pretty excellent because of the freak amount of free games you can get. I have like the entire Batman Arkham series for free. Borderlands Handsome Jack Edition was on there for free. So there is a great kind of bonus that you do get a lot of free games a lot of the time. And it looks like, by reading this post, that the way Epic is going to do it is that for the time that it's free, any downloaded games, Total War is basically going to get those keys purchased by Epic for them. This is essentially what it looks like here. Is it saying that Epic is paying here? Secondly, Epic, we're paying for our players to have our latest release free on day one. So I don't know if that was lump sum up front, or if they said, hey, we'll probably give you a deal where we'll pay you money to allow this to have for free, and it will give you also the X amount of downloads will probably give you an additional amount. I have no idea, but I assume it's an extremely lucrative offer. Now, they also did mention that this is Total War's 20th birthday and felt like an opportunity too good to pass up. But at the same time, I do feel like it's an opportunity that kind of segues from the past 20 years of rapport that they've built on Steam. Because the biggest thing with Steam is the mods. And we'll go into that in just a little bit here as we jump into the next article. But I am kind of like, I keep being wishy-washy on this, on whether or not I really like it or really hate it. I think it is really cool to see that they're trying to get this longer reach, but what I don't like is that the possible future for this becoming a larger platform for Total War. I don't want to see Total War Warhammer 3 on this platform, or a hopeful Empire 2 or Shogun 3 or what's another one, Medieval 3. Like, I don't really want to see that expand onto those platforms unless there's a large amount of support rolled out for Epic. I think it's it does have a lot going for it, but there's one thing too to kind of keep in mind that you guys probably have zero idea about because of the way that I've had conversations with the developers of Total War during the Everchosens. And that they're talking about the back-end infrastructure development. So when you look at Total War Warhammer 2, or pretty much any game that Total War has done and put on Steam, if they don't have any dedicated personal servers on their end, they have to host any of these multiplayer servers on Steam's end. And that results in an issue when it comes to multiplayer, ladder resetting, trackability for achievements, and unlocks in the game unless it's built into the game upon initial inception. It's very hard to add it after the fact. And this is an issue when we look at Total War Warhammer 2. Total War Warhammer 2 does not have a ladder that resets on a regular schedule because it wasn't created out the gate like that. It doesn't have any kind of cosmetic unlocks or anything like that, like that we get with a lot of typical multiplayer games right now, because the original inception of the game did not have a heavy multiplayer in mind. So I could see that maybe Epic Store does offer that to them, a better backend, like a quote-unquote open API that they can better leverage to create something that allows them to do a stronger multiplayer experience. But again, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's a big motivator behind this, but I do know that Steam was a very large limiting factor for the multiplayer portion of Total War Warhammer 2's future expansions. So the big thing, though, here is with this FAQ, it goes through the release. We know it's August 13th. They give you a lot of information that we pretty much covered in the previous post here, but they're pretty much saying it is free. You can get a copy here. The Amazons will be available as a DLC upon launch, and I don't know if that's going to be some sort of pre-order DLC or if, okay, yeah, the game was free, but now you got to buy the DLC for free. So we'll find out more information about that as the days kind of grind on towards August. Let me see here. It says like Amazon, like in big bold letters. But there's three big things I want to talk about with this platform. You know what? Let's just do the old fine. Ha! Further all the way down. Amazon is a DLC for Total War Troy, or Total War Saga Troy, that will also come out on the 13th of August. More details on this will be revealed soon. So we don't really know exactly what that means. If it's going to be free with it, is it going to be a DLC that we have to purchase, even though the game is free? So we'll definitely kind of dive in on this soon. But there are a lot of details in this post here that go into the dueling mechanics and how pretty much you're going to have a very similar dueling mechanic to what we get in Three Kingdoms. Naval battles, there's little documentation of Bronze Age naval warfare, but we know how important it is to our players. And as a result, we've used Total War Warhammer 2, Curse of the Empire Coast, as our main inspiration for naval combat in Troy, which uses island battles as an alternative. So there will not be any naval battles in this game. And the gods, they talk about pretty much how you gain favor with them, praying to them, and it affects both your economy and your combat playthrough of the game. Mythical creatures, again, it gives you the truth behind the myth here. Why did you decide to approach the... Oh, no, there's one about the economy. That's actually a little bit further down. The economy's got a good little portion here. The economy. And it pretty much talks about 5 different resources that are the building blocks of your empire are food, wood, stone, bronze, and gold, all of which can be found within different regions to varying degrees of scarcity. Food and wood are used to recruit early game units and construct simple buildings, but as the campaign progresses, more formidable structures will require stone, and higher tier units will require bronze. Gold is the master resource and is vital for trade due to its universal rarity. So, very interesting kind of pyramid to its trading resources, and one that's not relegated simply to just getting gold and then additional resources and however they contribute to your economy. It's a very interesting progression here, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. Is there a Trojan horse? The Trojan horse will have a major role to play in the Troy campaign. However, it will be portrayed in line with the theories surrounding its real-world representation rather than its equine-shaped portrayal in the Iliad. Some people call it the Iliad. I'm sorry if that's the way you guys think it is pronounced. I went with Iliad. The Trojan horse mechanic will appear in the campaign at specific moments and can provide significant bonuses to players should it be acted upon quickly enough. And there's also some interesting diplomacy in Troy as well, just like we have with 3K, because it's saying that we've learned from the 3K, and that should hopefully influence the engine in Total War Warhammer 2 to incorporate some of those 3K quality of life upgrades. So I'm very interested to see what diplomacy looks like in Total War Troy, because for me, that means it's going to be implemented into Total War Warhammer 3. If this is on the Total War Warhammer 2 engine, any implementations or improvements that they do on it, that just tells me, oh, that's cool. That's ready for Warhammer 3. So, in conclusion, there are 3 big things that I have the largest problem with Epic Game Store, and I really was on the fence back and forth until I saw this. Cross-platform play is not supported. So we currently have no plans to support cross-platform play between the Epic Game Store and Steam copies of a Total War Saga Troy. That's huge. That is massive because of this final point in conjunction. Will modding be supported on Epic? Currently, the Epic Game Store does not support mods. However, it is on Epic's roadmap. So it's like the trademark soon. And as someone who's worked at a corporate software company, you'd have to have a pretty outstanding demand for that roadmap. And if a modding roadmap is not necessarily a direct return, it's not going to be a huge priority. Because yeah, you'll be able to have more purchases, but if people are, it's going to take you a year to develop, they'll just do it on Steam anyway and have all their games on one platform. But what's going to be aggravating here is anyone who got it for free has to buy the game on Steam if they want to play with any of their friends on Steam. So I really appreciate what Total War is doing from a business standpoint. Again, I think it makes a lot of sense here. Epic Game Store has a large reach, but I think that what they've just done is cut people out at the heels with the fact that modding is such a huge portion of Total War games. People are going to have to be downloading stuff on nexusmods.com like it's 2002 again, like a bunch of peasants. No more are we going to be able to use the Steam Workshop to mod out Total War Saga Troy. Now, they said that there's no plans for future releases. Yeah, we currently have no plans for any future games to be Epic exclusives. So it's just kind of interesting to me that they're deciding to do this when mods have been the cornerstone of their games and have vastly increased the longevity of their games. You think of Total War Warhammer 2. Yes, it has had constant DLCs on a somewhat regular cycle of about 4 to 6 months, but at the same time, mods have kept people in the game interested the entire 2.5, almost 3 years of its life cycle. So when you shut off mods on a widespread support like it is for the Steam Workshop, it's a pretty deadly approach in my opinion. I think that there's probably going to be a great way to access mods. You'll be able to do Nexus mods, like I said. There'll probably be some sort of modding toolkit, and that development kit will probably launch with Troy. But I just think that the barrier of entry now to getting mods and keeping them updated is going to be a lot larger. So, will mods be created for Troy? Yes, or at least more than likely. But it's going to be a huge hurdle to keep them updated and keep them constantly rolling out, because you now probably have to do it manually because of no sort of mod support on the store platform itself. I really think that is a huge hindrance to the game jumping to Epic. Now, also, people will have to take advantage of the de novo DRM. I don't personally have any problems with DRM software, but I know a lot of people do, so this is something that they're going to have to deal with as a mental hurdle for playing this game. So in conclusion, what are my thoughts on this? I really don't think it's the best approach. Like I said, I understand from a business standpoint, and I'm all for spreading that reach, but I think that there are too many strong cons against the fabric in which Total War games have operated under for over 10 years, for 15, 16 years. I think that Medieval 2 or Shogun were the first games to launch with Steam Workshop support. Like I said, yeah, that's 15 some odd years of staying on Steam and taking advantage of that Steam Workshop. And I think that this move to Epic Game Store for just Total War Saga Troy, let's keep in mind here, let's put this into perspective again, that this is just for Troy, is not the best way to do the launch of this game. Because a lot of people looked at it when it came out and said, oh, this is, what's it called? Age of Wonders, basically, revamped in the Total War platform. But now they have to go download Epic Game Store. They do all these things that I think are going to really take the wind out of the sails of the people that were excited about Total War Saga Troy. I personally have Origin, Epic, Steam, so it doesn't bother me that much. But I understand, and I also, you guys know, I don't like to play with a ton of mods, but I understand that that's what the community wants, and that's what they need, are a lot of mods. They like those different varying experiences and ways to plug into a game in a different entire setting if they so wish. So I think that, in short, the modding experience for Total War Saga Troy is going to be so watered down that I think that it'll flounder and have a hard time getting Steam again until it, well, gets onto Steam, and then we get that full modding support. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about this. If you are all in for the Epic Game Store and you like it just as much as I don't have a problem with it, I guess. If you think that it's an awesome move, let me know. If you are not stoked on this and you do not think this is a great move, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I like to get as much information out as possible. I do know that the developers watch a lot of the YouTube creators' content. They read what you guys put on Reddit. They read the forum posts. So like I said, make your opinion known. Be respectful about it. Like they said in this article here at the very bottom, you know, this is one thing to really drive home, guys. We've got one favor to ask. However you feel about this, please keep any criticism to the studio as a whole, and don't make it out on individual take it out on individual employees that you might find on various social media platforms. This includes Grace. Do not go attacking Grace because you guys don't like this. We get it. It's unexpected, but they're not going to be able to change anything, and we probably weren't the ones who made the decision regardless. So if you don't like these things, guys, target CA. Target the studio. Do not target individuals, because I promise they do not have the ability to influence these things, especially people in branding or content that you will talk to and see when you are on Reddit, when you are on the Steam streams. Those people do not make those decisions, so do not attack them. Like I said, keep everything to the studio if you have a criticism against it. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. I think that this is a little bit of turbulent news. I did want to get out to you guys and kind of discuss and give you my opinion on it. Overall, I understand the business move. I just don't think it's the best approach for Total War Saga Troy. But don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of fun action. But as always, have a good one and take care.